Yeah, I do. Awesome. Cool. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's start with question 1. So we have what's this? The number x is 111 when written in, so x is equal to 111 in base b, and it's also equal to 212 in base, is it b minus 2? Yeah, b minus 2. We have to find x in base 10. Find x in base 10. Okay, so let's just unpack what we know. So we have x is equal to 111 in base
Wait,
b.
Ayush, so right now you're sharing just the questions. You're not sharing the whiteboard.
Huh?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, you're just sharing like the questions on the screen, but I can't see the whiteboard. Yeah, okay, now that's whiteboard.
Okay. Okay, so find x in base 10. So let's unpack what we know. We have x is equal to 111 in base b. By the definition of base b, we know that that means x is equal to 1 times b squared plus 1 times b plus 1. And on the other hand, we have that x is equal to 1 times, 2 times, is that right? It's going to be recorded anyway, so don't worry too much. So it's also equal to 2 times b minus 2 squared plus 1 times b minus 2 plus 2. First of all, the fact that we can have b minus 2 means that base b minus 2 means that b has to be greater than or equal to 3, right? It's just something to keep in mind. But for now, let's just equate these two expressions. So b squared plus b plus 1 equals 2 b squared minus 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 8b plus 8 plus b minus 2 plus 2. Okay, simplifying both sides. So we get rid of this. B squared plus, what do we have? Minus 8b minus 7b back to minus 8b. Minus 8b, and that's a minus 1. Ah, that's a plus 7, isn't it? Cool. Plus 7 equals 0, so we can factorize this. This is b minus 7, b minus 1. But we know that, so this gives us b is equal to 1 or 7. But from above, we have that b must be greater than or equal to 3. So, so b has to be 7. So wrapping this up, we have that x is equal to 7 squared plus 7 plus 1. And that's just 57. Any questions or comments?
I have a few comments about that.
Yes.
So, um, so I guess that step where you went from the quadratic to the two linear factors.
Mm-hmm.
So that might have been like not necessarily obvious to everyone, especially if you haven't done much factorizations with
Factorizing,
quadratics
yeah.
before. Yeah, so maybe you could like spell that out a little bit.
Okay. So factorizing quadratics, the process we usually use is find two integers that multiply to this and sum to this, right? So we have yeah, cool.
Yeah, so just from that, you can see that the coefficient of b, this 8 should be equal to whatever x plus y is equal to. And just from looking at the constant term, that doesn't have a b with it. This 7, which is the constant, should be the product of the x and the y. And so that's why we find that two numbers which have a product of 7 and a sum of -8 are -1 and -7. And so we just put a b in front, and those are our factors. So that's the general method.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also another comment about how this might be approached if people didn't want to actually work with it algebraically. I mean, there's a few ways to do it, but so definitely because there is a base of b minus 2 and bases need to be positive, we know that b is greater than or equal to 3, but at the same time, a base of 1 doesn't make sense. So base of 1 is also impossible. And that's because basically the uniqueness of the digits for a natural number in base 1 breaks down. So bases are always bigger than 2, which actually tells you that from this being a base, b has to be greater than or equal to 4. So we know even more. And then I guess since we found that the answer was 7, it would have actually been possible to just test all the bases and hope to get to 1. So if we had just oh sorry, I'm on the whiteboard.
Oh,
Sorry, can you zoom out?
where are you?
Yeah. So we have that b is greater than or equal to 4 because this base has to be greater than or equal to 2, since bases of 1 don't make sense. And so at that point, once we know that the base is 4 or greater, it would have actually been possible to just check whether any of these bases work, and we'd keep on going up and we'd find that 7 works. And when I say works, I mean just check if 1, 1, 1 in each base is equal to 2, 1, 2 in that base minus 2. And then once we get that this is satisfied, then we know that that's our base. Yeah, so there's a few ways to do it that also like avoid the factorization stuff. And Michael, yeah, can't, okay.
Michael had a comment as well.
And
Yeah, so you already mentioned you could just try all the numbers, right? So it sounds obvious, but I think a lot of people would give up without trying the numbers because they think they don't know the quadratic or they don't know something. But you know, so this is a good chance for me to tell you the answer for these questions in the first 8 questions of the AIMO will always be whole numbers. Okay. Okay. So this actually doesn't help that much. that comment. Okay, but so the next comment that does help a bit is this question is worth 2 marks, okay? The first mark is awarded for writing down the quadratic, actually. And obviously the second mark for getting the correct answer. Now, yeah, so you can just write the answer, and if all you wrote was the answer and it was correct, you get full marks. Okay. But on the other hand, if the answer is incorrect, you'll also get empty marks, right? 0 marks. So for this question, um, if you wrote the right answer, you get 2 marks. If you wrote down the quadratic and not the right answer, you get 1 mark. Okay. Now you can try in the b values at the beginning, or you could try it while you figured out the quadratic, right? There's no rule against where to find the b's, and you should probably check that it's right once you found the b as well. Okay, so this sounds really stupid, but there were like 2,500 students who took this test, and only half of them got 2 marks. Okay, so half of all the people, and these are all people who got selected mostly from doing well in the AMC, half of them couldn't get this question correct. Okay, which means half of them never tried bases. Okay, or some of them just put down an answer without checking that it was correct. Okay, so half of all the people lost points on this question, and this goes all the way from year up to year 10. Okay. All right, carry on.
Yee, did you want to do question 2?
Okay, yeah, I'll go through question 2 now.
Michael, should I just keep recording the whole meeting, or do we just record question by question?
If it's you doing it, you can just keep going.
Wait, no, stop the recording